welcome back to episode of Dead Rising character analysis. Back here, this hasn't been too long since the last episode, just trying to keep the series going here and whatnot. So yeah, we're just going to get right into it. I will address some things first. First of all, I have allergies, so as you guys all know, my voice might sound a little bit not up to par in this video, or I might be sniffling here. Just how it goes. I like to put that disclaimer out there. But as of you longer viewers know, I got allergies get really bad this time of year, so my voice might not be too up to par for this video, but nonetheless, we're still doing it. And the second thing is more the main thing. It's I had a plan to put out a big video, a new series video. I'll just say it, not too much of a reveal, but I did have a plan to bring a new series out here on the channel. If you saw, I tweeted about it. That's what it was about. But unfortunately, it was supposed to be last week when I had content come out, but unfortunately, my internet went out for like a day and a half, and I just didn't have any internet, so I couldn't really do videos. So unfortunately, that was towards the end of the week. And unfortunately, I just couldn't put content out, or the specific content that I wanted to for the new series. So we're going to have that coming this week, so stay tuned. Got a lot of big stuff coming, new series coming this week, so stay tuned for that. Should be here if you guys are seeing this video Thursday. It should be here either tomorrow, being Friday, or Saturday. Saturday at the latest. But it's a really good series, so stay tuned for that. Hopefully you guys will enjoy it. But that's, just continuing on from last week's little mishap. So, new series coming, and yeah, as summer's coming around, we're gonna have a lot more stuff coming. So stay tuned for all that. But yeah, I just want to get that out of the way. But for now, though, we're just gonna get right into Dead Rising. Today's character is gonna be Brad. So of course, Brad, he's a medium character. I mean, he played a good role. I wanted to cover him because he plays a big enough role in the story where he is involved with the government and the zombies and the direct Willamette incident, the cover-up. So he is directly involved with all that and directly involved with all the reasoning behind everything within the story. So he is pretty important to cover. Not the longest, of course, getting it off the Dead Rising wiki, great site. But not the longest article, but I figured I'd do him just because he is a pretty important character within the story. So Brad Garrison, his full name. I didn't even know his last name was Garrison. That's interesting. And of course, yeah, so we're just going to get right into it. So that's some still interesting stuff here. So Brad Garrison, 1960 to 2006, he did die as one of the two Tritagonists. I've never seen that. Not sure how to pronounce that. Tritagonist. I think that's how you pronounce it. Tritagonist. I think so. I'm definitely pronouncing it the right way. I feel like. I'm just going to leave that up to be desired. But the protagonist of Dead Rising, he's an experienced agent of the Department of Homeland Security, of course, as was saying, sent to Willamette, Colorado, with his rookie partner, Jessica McCarney, which we'll cover her in the next episode, because she's also the more important caliber as far as the government involvement goes. So we'll cover her next episode. Of course, to safely escort Dr. Russell Barnaby, we'll get him too, because he is a pretty important role. So these are all characters, just plugging that. We'll definitely get these characters that they're mentioning later. Of course, out of them all. So he's the main character, key to solving the mystery behind the Willamette incident, and works on the front lines alongside Frank West with the goal of getting out of Willamette safely and neutralizing the terrorist threat. He's a strong and driven leader who is often seen confronting his problems head-on, constantly putting his life on the line in order to achieve his goals. He also assumes the responsibility of restocking the security room with food and water, which is good. Then kind of getting into the main story here, his introduction is Brad is first seen calling out to the survivors to run for the stairs in the entrance plaza after Lindsay Harris accidentally lets the zombies into the mall while trying to rescue her dog Madonna. After Frank succeeds in making it to the security room, he orders Otis Washington, who we covered last episode, to weld the door shut, preventing any zombies from entering. Soon after, Brad finds a way into the mall, into the air ducts, and goes to find and rescue Dr. Barnaby. And of course, Case 1-2 backup for Brad. We covered that in our Dead Rising Let's Play Classic. Of course, as Frank enters the food court to assist Brad, he takes over, realizing that he's being shot at. Brad gives Frank a handgun, and the two work together to defeat Carlito Keys, although he manages to escape. After the case finishes, Frank will show Brad the photo he took of Dr. Barnaby in the entrance plaza. Although reluctant at first, Brad agrees to let Frank accompany him in his search, and then moving on to Case 1-3, an odd old man, I should say. Brad and Frank make their way to the entrance plaza where Dr. Barnaby decided to lock himself in a bookstore, saying he will only leave if he is guaranteed a safe passage. Brad becomes frustrated that Dr. Barnaby refuses help and decides to call for backup. Then the two go back to the security room empty-handed. Moving on to Case 1-4, a temporary agreement. While in the security room, Brad learns that Frank is planning to leave the mall in 3 days, giving him newfound hope that he could help Dr. Barnaby out of the mall. He then continues to gather food and supplies for the survivors, then going on to Case 2-2, rescue the professor. After one day in the security room, however, Jesse sees that Dr. Barnaby is being kidnapped by Carlito, and when Brad and Frank find him, Barnaby is suspended 1 floor above the ground with the zombies surrounding below. Carlito is on the second floor using a sniper rifle to shoot at Brad and Frank. The duo works together once more and eventually manages to defeat him a second time. While fighting Carlito, Brad is able to shoot Carlito in the arm, yet Carlito is still able to shoot Brad in the leg. Escaping again, Frank then saves Barnaby and brings both of them back to the security room. Case 2-3, Medicine Run. Jesse is watching over Brad, commenting that he has a high fever. Frank is asked to retrieve a medical kit from the Sion's Food and Stuff, a local mall supermarket. He succeeds in doing this, ensuring Brad's recovery from his injury, which is whatnot. So, cutscene you're seeing now. I think that's when he encounters him, if he encounters the crazy store owner. I think that's when he went to the, maybe that was a different mission, I'm not sure. But still the gameplay nonetheless. Whatever, I'm just trying to relate to it if I could, if it was the right footage. But anyway, regardless of all that, moving on. During the time that Brad is recovering, Frank West meets Isabella Keyes, Carlito's sister, and brings her back to the security room. When she recovers, Brad interrogates her and tells him the truth behind the tragedy of Santa Cabeza. Dr. Barnaby comes crashing out of the closet, attacking Jesse. After being thrown off of Jesse, he is shot in the head by Brad after explaining his own side of the story behind Santa Cabeza. After this, Brad's mission is to simply get as many people out of the mall as possible. As they continue interrogating Isabella, she informs all of them that Carlito is planning on blowing up the mall. All of his plans fail, or if all of his plans fail, I should say. Then Case 7-2, Bomb Collector. A plan is developed. Frank will defuse the bombs. Isabella will inform what's happening, and Brad will go for Carlito. While defusing the bombs, Frank comes into contact with Carlito. God, no. Just, it's funny because I remember this specifically, especially since I played the Dead Rising story so recently within the, the Let's Play and whatnot. If you could relate to this, the charges. I hated defusing the charges, dude. That mission was so hard. I hated that. It's just funny. I wanted to say that. But as I was saying, yes, Frank defuses the bombs, and Carlito crashes the van he is driving and then starts to shoot at Frank. Brad is able to then track Carlito down and pursues him deeper into the zombie-infested maintenance tunnels. He follows them into a storage room where they engage in a gunfight. While they're fighting, Brad informs him that the bombs are gone, thanks to Frank, and his plans are over. Brad then charges Carlito while he's reloading, catching him off guard and shoots him in the stomach, mortally wounding him. Carlito pulls the switchblade out and swipes at Brad, then thus knocking his gun out of his hands. In a brief scuffle, Carlito stabs Brad in the shoulder and knocks him outside of the room in the dark, unseeable area, locking the door behind him as Brad pulls out a flashlight as he sees himself surrounded by a group of zombies. As reality sinks in that he is doomed. When Frank begins searching for Brad, he discovers him lying on the ground outside the storage room, seemingly injured. Brad warns Frank to stay away from him, but Frank insists that he will help bring Brad back to the security room and patch his injuries up there. Only glance that Brad has been disemboweled and therefore beyond treatment. To add insult to injury, Brad tells Frank that he doesn't feel any pain from his fatal wound, signifying that he is close to zombification. Before becoming a zombie, Brad asks Frank to not tell Jesse about his fate before sliding the gun over to him. And that is the fate of Brad Garrison. He turned into a zombie, of course, unfortunately. But yeah, and that's pretty much it for his character analysis. So I'm going to go into some of the extra stuff here they have on the wiki, just like sometimes I do, the usual. But yeah, unfortunately, man, he was a very good guy. I mean, he tried to help out where he could, especially with Carlito and whatnot in the end. Remember the cutscenes and all that, and the gameplay. I was, when I was playing the cutscenes that he did. But yeah, it's just a shame. He was a good guy. Didn't deserve to die that way, unfortunately, but that's how it goes. But yeah, that'll pretty much do it for the article here. Like I was saying, I'm going to go into some extra stuff. In Infinity Mode, Brad appears in the meat processing area from 7:19 to 8 o'clock. And is armed with the katana and his equipment, and he carries a package of ice pops, a paint can, a shovel, a hunting knife, and a submachine gun. I think he appears as an enemy in Infinity Mode. There's some interesting trivia here that I wanted to get into. A lot of the wikis have interesting trivia and whatnot. I never really got into that in past character analysis, but I'll get into it here. Very interesting. I think it has a question and then an answer, so I'll just read the whole thing. So in the Dead Rising beta, Brad shares the last name as David Bailey, whose last name was Garrison as well. This could mean that Brad's name was different during development. His voice actor, TJ Storm, also voiced Josh Stone in Resident Evil 5, another game by Capcom, which is actually very interesting. I didn't know that. I learned that. So maybe you guys learned some stuff new here. But it's very interesting. He's a playable character in the mobile version of Dead Rising. On the first night of cutscene he plays where he tells Jesse that they will take turns sleeping, he proposes that Jesse will sleep for 4 hours, and after that he will wake her up and then take his 4-hour break. Throughout the rest of the night, however, Jesse sleeps on the bed, and Brad is never shown taking his turn to rest. And he is one of the few characters from the first game to have their voices in Dead Rising 4. This is heard through Frank's nightmare at the beginning of the game. So yeah. Then getting into some extra stuff here. Arguably, Brad and Carlito are the most proficient gun users of the entire Dead Rising cast, but Brad is more proficient with not only firearms but also dodging, as seen in cutscenes battle between him and Carlito. Of course, definitely see that. He's government trained there for the Homeland Security, so it makes sense. He's able to take down Carlito twice with his gun and dodging skills. In the first encounter, he is successful in disarming the terrorist, though he fails to capture him. And in the second, he manages to mortally wound Carlito, but of course gets trapped, resulting in the agent's death. So yeah, that's kind of what we just went over. But yeah, just some extra stuff I wanted to read through there. Some extra trivia stuff. But yeah, that'll pretty much do it for the character analysis. Like I said, it wasn't the longest, wasn't the craziest longest, character analysis we'll have. But, I figured I wanted to cover Brad. He was interestingly enough, and he was a cool character. And like I said, I think he plays a pretty important part in the Dead Rising story, like I was saying. So yeah, I like Brad. I think he's a pretty good character overall. Not too much flaws and whatnot. Everybody liked him. I think the majority of Dead Rising fans can get along with Brad. So yeah, with all that being said, though, that'll pretty much wrap it up for today's episode of character analysis. Yeah, I like Brad. He's definitely a good character, as I was saying. But yeah, that'll pretty much do it. So of course, be sure to subscribe for more content, like the stuff, Discord, Twitch, Instagram, Twitter, links in the description. And yeah, of course, comment down below. Feedback, all the good stuff. If you like Brad and Dead Rising, whether you like him, don't like him, whatever it is it may be. Comments are always open for feedback and all that good stuff, discussions and whatnot. But yeah, that'll pretty much do it. Of course, like I said, I got a lot of cool stuff coming, including the new series coming this week. So stay tuned for that. I think it's going to be a very good series. I think you guys will enjoy it. And of course, other series I got planned coming. I got a lot of stuff in my notes. So yeah, stay tuned. Got a lot of cool stuff coming this summer as I've been planning. Of course, stay updates with all the socials I got. Like I was saying, link down in the description as always. Stay updated on all those. I'll be updated all my socials and whatnot. And, all the good stuff. So be sure to go follow all that stuff. But yeah, for now though, I will see you guys in the next video.